Hello, today I will be reviewing MantzCreekHorses.com, and the biggest lesson I will be talking about is really making sure that the messaging of your website is speaking to your customer, to your ideal customer, and is speaking to their pain points. In turn, this will help establish you as an expert and somebody that they want to go to help solve their problems. And it'll really allow you to shine and show all of the expertise that you have. That in turn brings more clients. All right, let's get started. Hi there, I'm Ariana Lawson, and I've been building websites for going on 5 years now. I'm passionate about helping businesses authentically share their story online and at the same time create a website that is not only pleasing to the eye, but it's also a powerful business tool. Now, if you're interested in seeing what it's like to work with me, you can go to studiorawebsites.com/EEM and see all of the information there. Now, let's get started on this website review. Okay, first things first, I'm going to take just 1 minute to walk you through the rating system that I'm going to use. So there are 3 main categories I'll be looking at: the design of the website, the copy or written content of the website, and then the overall user experience of the website. Now, there are 30 points total available for each category, and then each category is divided into 3 sections worth 10 points each, again, totaling to 30 points. Now, if I have any notes, I'll leave them on the side here, and then also you can take notes as well down here or on the side, and then there will be 10 points available for the overall impression, equaling a total score of 100 points. Now, I'm going to say this because I want to serve you guys well, and I want you guys to have the best website possible. If you're scoring anywhere below, I would say a 65, it probably means you need to get a professional involved. Just like I wouldn't DIY training my horse or DIY building a house, I would highly suggest not DIYing your website and finding somebody who really knows how to design a really good professional website. All right, let's hop right in. Hello, today I will be reviewing MantzCreekHorses.com, submitted by Nettie and Kevin. So to kick things off, I will be looking at fonts and logos first. So hopping right in, first thing I'm looking at is fonts, and I think and I see that these fonts are clean and legible, and there are not too many. Looks like there's this one here in the menu, and then this one here for the logo, which is throughout in some other ways, and then this one here on the button might be a different one, but regardless, I would say the fonts are clean and legible and easy to read. Next is the logo. I think this is a clean and simple logo, and looks like there's a little mascot dude here, which is, I really like that. So great job with the fonts and logos, guys. And let's move on to photos and elements. So I'm looking to see that there are good photos that add to the design. So first thing I notice is that I believe you guys are in these photos, and these are not just stock photos, which is great. That is something I always encourage, is to make sure, if you can, get photos of you guys interacting with horses, doing what you do, training horses, and that is going to go a long way in helping really showcase you as a professional, and instead of just using stock photos. So great job with that. I would say, let's go to some other pages. So the overall quality of the photos is not bad. However, I would say utilizing some of these photos in a different way could be helpful. For example, let me go back to the homepage. These photos here, this slider, I oftentimes suggest people not using a slider in the header, or if you do, being very selective with what photos you use. So for this header section, this is what I call prime real estate in a website. So it's called the hero section, and you want to be utilizing this space to the best of your ability and really making it shine. So getting your best photo up in this section would be great. A really professional, crisp, clean looking photo. And then also, well, I'll get into this more in a bit, but utilizing this space for a header, subheader, and then a call to action button will be key. So photos overall, again, are not bad. However, utilizing them in some other ways will be helpful, which I'll get into in just a bit. Okay, one more thing that I actually wanted to go back to with fonts is the fonts themselves are clear and clean, or legible. However, the contrast is not the greatest. So see how it's actually pretty hard to read what's going on here, and same in this section here. So I would say that is called the contrast between the picture and the font is pretty low, and it's going to make it difficult to read. So making sure your contrast throughout the website is good is going to be key, and that'll also help make things look more professional. So let me see. This, I would say, also up here is difficult to read. The contrast is not high enough. So one of the solutions for that is, well, one, as you scroll, I can see that the menu becomes this bluish color, and obviously that helps with the contrast. However, if you want this transparent look, something that you can do is dim this photo, and that will basically make the contrast greater. So I'll show you. Let me pull this up. Okay, sorry, wrong tab. All right, so this is an example of a website that I mocked up real quick. So this is an extreme example, but if you look closely, there is a horse in the background of this photo. The photo is just very dimmed, or it has a filter on it. So that's in order to make sure that the contrast is really high between the words and the photo. So again, the biggest thing in the header section, especially if you're going to format it like this, is ultimately going to be the words and the text. There are other ways of designing a header, of course, and you could really showcase some photos in some other ways. However, I would highly suggest going with a header like similar to this, where it really calls out exactly what you do, and a subheader, and then a call to action button. So the photo in this section, you do want it clean and crisp. However, a bit different from what I said just a minute ago, it doesn't have to be your, showcasing you, with your, a headshot of you and Kevin, because that photo is not really going to be seen if it's dimmed. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so moving along to elements. I'm looking at buttons and any other branding elements. So great button. I like that interaction. That's fun. There's plenty of padding. There's plenty of space. Now, I don't see really any other buttons. So the button itself is good. However, I'll get into it in a bit on utilizing more buttons throughout your site. Okay, so moving on to colors. I'm looking to see that there are 3 to 5 complementary colors and consistency throughout. And I see this blue and green, and then this tan or pale pink. So I would say great job with the colors. I think they blend well together, and it is good use of colors throughout without it being overwhelming. Okay, so that was the design section of what I'm talking about today. Next is the copy or content of the website that I will be looking at. So first things first, I'm going to be doing the above the fold test. I'm looking to see that there is a clear headline that leaves no question on what you do and is not focused on the logo, and there's a clear repeated call to action. So as I was just saying a minute ago, this section here, when you first land on the website, is prime real estate. So my suggestion would be not to have sliders here. And the reason being is because it quickly becomes confusing. Well, okay, this info that you're having here, it's the clinic schedule. and the testimonials, horsemanship, services. So all of these items are actually in the menu, and people can easily access each of these items through the menu. However, if you utilize this space, get rid of the slider, have a header and a subheader, and then a call to action. So specifically calling out what you do, how you do it, why, how you help people, and then a clear call to action of what you want them to do next is going to be really good for your website. So again, the messaging and website workshop that Justin and I put together in the school group. If you go to the school group, go to classroom, go to the website and messaging workshop, and under there, Justin put together a messaging module that will really help you hone in on what you could be saying in this section to really grab people's attention. Because as we've all heard, we all have the attention span of pretty much a goldfish nowadays. So we really want to be grabbing people's attention in this section. So like I said, my suggestion would be to get rid of this slider, and each of these, these sections, if these are really important things that you want to call out in your website, you can certainly have it throughout the rest of the website. However, utilizing that space in, a different sort of way is definitely going to be helpful for you guys. Okay. So moving along to customer-centered copy, I'm looking to see that there's benefit-focused copy that connects with pains and desires. So, okay. So here's a quote. A lot of cowboys could learn a lot from the show world, but the show world could learn a lot from cowboys on how they ride and treat their horses. Okay. So I see that. And then let's see. As a teacher of horsemanship, Nettie brings over 40 years of riding, training, showing, breeding, consulting, the results of her breeding program through her own. Okay. So far I'm not seeing much customer-centered copy or messaging. So obviously I can see that you all bring a lot of experience and a lot of industry knowledge. So showcasing that through your copy is going to be gold for you guys. So tweaking what you guys have to speak to the specific pain points of your potential clients is going to be huge. So let me just look at other parts. Let's see. I'm at Mantz Creek Horses. Great horsemanship goes far beyond what you do when you ride. It is a way of life. It is about meeting the needs of the horses on every level. Okay. So again, I would say you're good writers. This is quality writing. However, again, tweaking it to speak more to the customer is going to be key. So a website, it's all about striking that balance of, yes, we are sharing who we are with the world and with our potential clients. And yes, it's about us, but also it is just as much about, if not more, about the person that is visiting the website and how we can benefit them and how you're going to be serving them. So I hope that makes sense. I think you can also do the same with about sections. It can sometimes be hard to get in that frame of mind of like, okay, how can I shift this to really talk to the pain points of the person? But again, people might see this sort of section and just skip over it. But if you call out something of, a question of, have you been spinning your wheels trying to train your horse to do XYZ, or whatever it may be, calling out a pain point and drawing them in with like, oh my gosh, I relate to that. Something I like to say, even with my own website, when people land on my website, when my ideal client lands on my website, I want it to feel like a sigh of relief. Like, oh, okay, they get me. They understand what I've been going through. So thinking about it like that of, okay, how can I get my potential client to like breathe a sigh of relief of like, oh my gosh, I've finally found the place or the business or the people that are actually going to help me with what I've been going through. So moving along, looking at services and offers. I'm looking to see that offers are presented as solutions to problems, and you have it clearly outlined how to work with you and have clear and concise offerings. So let's see. Let's go to services. Okay, let's press horsemanship services. Okay, so here's a bit of a breakdown. However, there's not much. There's like the information itself. Horsemanship services, 3-day horsemanship, cow working clinics, intermediate to advanced lessons. So I would say definitely adding more copy here is going to be beneficial, adding more messaging. So having horsemanship services. And then let me pull up a page real quick. Okay, so here is an example of what I mocked up for the Sayla Stables website that, again, is not a real business, but I mocked it up. So here's an example of a training services section. So having it clear, okay, this is the service, and then the pricing, and then a quick blurb about what it is, and then clearly who it's for, clearly what you get. Testimonials, which I want to speak to. I saw, well, let me stay focused with what I was saying. So having a testimonial, and then having, a clear what they're getting, and the next steps is to schedule now with a clear call to action button. So even just setting up a services section like this is going to be super helpful to draw people in, and they know exactly who it's for, what you get, what other people are saying, how the experience that other people have had is going to be huge in helping bring in more people and other people. Okay, so speaking about testimonials, let's go back. So I saw that you guys have tons of testimonials, which is amazing because testimonials are gold. However, just having them in one page is not utilizing them in the best way possible. Testimonials should be and can be spread throughout the whole website. So, say Brian calls out one of your horsemanship services. So you don't have to quote this entire testimonial, but you could take a blurb of what he says and put it next to the horsemanship services section. Same with, if Carol talks about one of your clinics, take a blurb of what she says and then put it next to one of the clinics, or have, parts of these blurbs throughout the website. And that is going to, as people are scrolling and seeing this, and then they're like, oh, well, this person worked with him. Oh, and that person worked with him, and this and this. And it just really helps reinforce over and over that you guys are to be trusted. You guys are professionals because so many other people have worked with you. So I love that you guys have testimonials. Keep gathering testimonials. And if you have, I'm not sure if you have a Google business profile, but moving forward, having people leave reviews on your Google business profile is really great to help promote your business online and get your website showing up on Google and in search engines. Okay. So let's move on to the overall user experience. So I'm looking to see that there's an easy flow as you scroll and a use of white space, and it's pleasing to the eye. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. Okay, so there's not a ton of flow happening here. Something I like to say with home pages is I want you to think about it as if it is a table of contents in a magazine. So the homepage is a place where you can show little snippets of the rest of the website. So, having this header section with the header, subheader, and call to action button, and then scrolling, and then people can see, you could have this quote, and then you could have a mini about us section that then leads into something more, and then a little services section. So I'll show you again. Okay, so this is, again, the website that I mocked up real quick, and it's not perfect, but I just want to show you overall what I'm meaning. So we have this header, we have a little quote happening here, some photos scattered throughout, and then a call out on what we're going to help the customer do. And then a call to action button is huge. Making sure you have call to action buttons throughout your website that guides people through the website and doesn't leave them hanging of, basically never allowing there to be a dead end in a website is huge, and allowing or guiding people to the final goal of the website is really what you want to be doing. So anyways, we got the quote, we got this call out, and then we have a mini about us section. Excuse my typo. And then we have a snippet of the services here. And then we have a testimonial, and then a steps to work with us section. So, and then another call out and the footer. So that's a mini homepage that I mocked up. And this is something I do with all of my clients. This is a huge thing, is just learning to utilize the homepage as a table of contents is really going to help utilize the homepage and create it to be something that's useful and helpful and has that flow that I'm talking about. Okay, so also with that being said, I didn't cover back in the services section that you have it clearly outlined how to work with you. That is something else I would make sure that you have, is a clear outline on how to work with you and what the exact steps are, and making sure that it's laid out in 3 steps or 5 steps or however many steps. I would stick with 3 to 5, and making sure that people know exactly what to do next to work with you, and making sure they know what to expect. Okay, so going back to easy flow. So that's the homepage that I was talking about. Okay, so let's go to another tab. Let's go to that about. Okay, so there is a bit of flow happening here. However, the formatting does feel outdated. Something, especially if you're going into the history of something, that is oftentimes cool to do, is a timeline of sorts and guiding people through. So you could use these photos, but then have little paragraphs of, okay, at this date was this, and then have a photo appear, and then this date was this, and this date is this. That's a really cool way to bring people through a timeline of sorts and showcasing your experience. So, okay, let's see. Let's go to horsemanship services, or you know what? I haven't gone to clinics yet. Let's go to clinics, clinic descriptions. Okay. So this isn't too bad for flow. Let's see. Again, because this is a form of a service, I would make sure that you have it clearly outlined what it is, what are the benefits people are going to be getting, because you might cover all of that in these paragraphs, but people are pretty prone to skipping over paragraphs. So calling out in bullet points exactly what you do and what they're going to be getting is going to be key. And then I do notice, okay, you have a call to action button here. Contact us isn't too bad. However, if there's a more specific call to action you can call out, that would be even better. Of, okay, schedule XYZ, and then making sure you have those call to action buttons throughout the rest of the website and throughout the rest of the services is going to be key as well. Okay, so let's move on to information architecture. So I'm looking to see that the information is organized and not overwhelming, and there's hierarchy and copy and menu. So I think you all do a pretty good job overall. I see lots of headers, and as I said, some of this information can be divided up more or organized in a different way with more bullet points. Let's go to this page. Okay, so not a ton of information on this page. Let's see. Let's go to your contact page. So I think your menu is pretty organized. As I said it before, it is pretty hard to see on some of these pages because of the contrast. But overall, your information architecture, the information organization is not bad. Okay, so moving on to the last thing, I'm going to be looking at optimization. So I'm going to pull up the site on my phone real quick. Okay, so looking at the site on my phone, I would say that there's nothing cut off per se. Sometimes I'll see sites where, it just looks like a mini version of the desktop and, buttons are cut off and all of that. So nothing's cut off, which is good. However, it does not look like it's very optimized for mobile. For example, the header section is very small, again, very hard to read. And then there's no logo at the top. You can't tell what website you're on unless you look at the URL. And then when you press the hamburger menu drop down, then the logo does appear. But I would definitely, the industry standard for mobile is to have that hamburger menu off to the right or to the left, and then having the logo up top there. So let me click through a few other spots. Okay, so yeah, again, there's nothing cut off. However, it looks just pretty similar to the desktop version. So a lot of what I said for the desktop is going to apply to the mobile, and then going from there. Okay, so to finish things off, something else I wanted to call out was I noticed your podcast. So I listened to a bit of this episode and then the episode with Steve. I think it's great. And I really think this is an opportunity, this podcast, and then between the podcast and your guys' experience and what you have to offer, you have a really big opportunity here to really capitalize on your website and have it become a powerful business tool for you all. So with that being said, all of these suggestions that I've put together and this advice is something you guys can certainly try to implement yourself. I saw that in the school comment section, you said you guys are preparing for some updates. So I'm not sure if you guys have a web designer already. And if you do, then show them this video, see what they think, have that conversation. And if you don't have a web designer in mind, then I would love the opportunity even just to talk with you guys and have a conversation about what it could look like to bring a professional in. And, obviously I covered all of these elements, and getting, having someone in your corner that understands the design element and the messaging element and the user experience and understands how to take all of these elements and not just throw them on a page, but take all of them and again, create that powerful business tool. It is going to be helpful more than you guys might know to even just, again, have that conversation. So I would be more than happy to become that person for you all if that's something that you guys would be interested in. And if so, you can go to my website, which is the studio. I'll just type it here, Studio Ari website.com/EEM. And then there you can press apply now. And that'll take you to a form which you can fill out with some information. Or if you want to skip that, you can also DM me straight in the school group. There's lots of ways to get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to have that conversation with you all. So again, you guys have a lot going for you here. You have the experience, you have the services, you have the podcast, and bringing in a professional, taking these suggestions will, again, really help take this website, take it to a professional level. And I think you guys will be really happy with, the direction you see your website go once these changes and these suggestions have been implemented. Okay. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.